guys, welcome back to my channel and not a tutorial today, but yes, I think something very important before I move ahead with more makeup tutorials is I think something someone never told me is how to take care of like my brushes and my sponges, you know what I mean? So here I am after all the research that I have done, and I have been really picking up so many brushes over the last few years that now I feel I have my final set of brushes that I strongly recommend. And I feel like instead of wasting money in like 10 contour brushes or 5 blush brushes, you should know exactly which brush you need for a regular makeup or even a glam makeup session, and which ones of them are really worthwhile. Like you see, I really have bought a lot of brushes, man, and not all of this is some of them are expensive, some of them are not very, but I'm glad I did, because I think you really have to go through this to understand what works for your skin. Starting with, let's think about what is the basic daily makeup you usually use, right? So I'm gonna go to the eye section later because it's not every day that we use eye makeup. For a basic foundation, your base, your blush, what do we need? First thing first, I think what I need on a regular basis is a concealer application brush, because I start my makeup with a concealer. I still use my hands for my moisturizer and everything, although you can choose to use brushes. I haven't explored that yet, but honestly, whenever I start my makeup, I start with concealer, if you can see from my tutorials, and I need a concealer application. I also use this to apply my cream foundation. So what I usually do, I would either take a palette, or this is like I use this portion of my hand and usually put in cream products, and I like to warm them up a little bit. So this is like a perfect brush for that. This is Euro Paris 139. It's really picked this off a drugstore. It's very, again, budget friendly. It's not one of those expensive brushes, but yeah, this is like my go-to. I've been using this for years and I cannot do without it. And also, let's start putting the brushes that I actually use aside on a regular basis. We will figure out how many I do not even touch, right? So this is number one, to apply concealer and to apply foundation. Now, once I apply the concealer or the foundation, I do love my sponges a lot, but brushes do have a different kind of finish when you blend your makeup with brushes. One, it uses less product than a sponge. So I do use brushes 70 to 80% of the time and only 20% sponge, by the way. So the next thing that goes on my face is usually a foundation. So what I have been using for a very long time when I couldn't afford big brushes was packs. So this comes in a set of 5, you guys, and these brushes are all here. I will tell you about that. But this was the brush I used for the longest time. And I feel kind of bad that I'm ditching this brush right now. It's perfect to apply cream foundation application, only blending, not to apply. To apply, you will still use the same brush that I showed at the beginning, apply the product, and then you can blend with this, any kind of foundation, liquid or cream or your powder. But right now, I kind of started feeling like it was so hard on my face. So I was really exploring into brushes which were soft, bristled, and I didn't mind spending a little bit, and that is why I switched to Charlotte Tilbury's foundation brush. This one is like, you can see how overused it is, but dude, the bristles on this one is absolutely so soft, so natural that you wouldn't feel the pokiness on the skin. Highly recommend that. But a good alternative for this is definitely the pack. If you're not willing to shed out too much, then this is definitely a great recommendation for your foundations. Also for your concealer, I use this for both. However, having said that, I'm also kind of exploring brushes now, which is equivalent to Charlotte Tilbury, because this one is like a 4,500 rupees brush, quite expensive. So I was trying to see if there's anything better which is in that same category but not as expensive as this, and that's when I came across Sigma brushes. This is what I actually picked up. I still have the packet luckily, so I wanted to show you guys how this comes in a pack of 3. And let me quickly talk about each one of them. So the first one, which is basically your foundation brush, since we're on foundation and concealer. So they're F53 airbrush from Sigma. This one is basically for your contouring, you know, whenever you put products. So it's a great brush, but again, like I said, I want to go back to the foundation and come back to this one a little later. Check this out, both of their brushes. This is F80 Air Sigma, and the other one basically is your F74 Air Tomb Buffer. So let's talk about both of them, right? The first one, which is your F74, you can basically apply and blend cream products together. This is great, and I will tell you why I use this on a regular basis, because I, on a daily basis, use Sugar's Stick Foundation. Hang on, I want to kind of show you guys what I do. Just hold on just a second, yeah? This is the foundation I use on a regular basis. It's just 1,000 rupees a stick. It just works out so well. I literally use this brush. You can apply. You don't need a separate brush for application. Just dab on it. I literally have this on me right now. And you blend with the same brush. And the bristles are really very soft. I think Charlotte Tilbury still has softer bristles on brushes, but Sigma is very close to them. It's like Apple versus Dell. You know, this is Dell and Apple is your Charlotte Tilbury. This other brush, again from Sigma, which I was talking about, and that is also for your foundation, is the F80 Air, and this one is meant to blend liquid and cream products onto the skin. So again, they're multi-purpose. You cannot use this to apply the product, but you only use this to blend your foundations, whether it's liquid or cream or your liquid. But yeah, this can be used again for foundation concealer brushes. So those are your options for foundation concealer. So many, honestly. Look at this. We have actually 4 of them. So you have PAC, and then which is again very, very budget friendly. Then you have Sigma, which is in between, and then you have one of the best and most expensive, Charlotte Tilbury. And currently these are the 3 I'm using. I've kind of retired from this one. That's your concealer brush. What do we usually go with after concealer? Your contouring. You really need a good brush for contouring. I have figured mine out. My first one, can you believe it? It's from Miniso. It has also served me so long. This one I think is 500 rupees or something, but it really works. I mean, you just have to make sure your brushes, this is the shape of the brush for your contour, just easy for you to blend the way the contour is placed onto your face. Feel free to explore them, but I no longer use this. I currently obsessed with Sigma's F23 soft angle contour brush. Man, I pat myself on the back for finally finding the best contour brush. This is very recent. It's been 2 months I've started using this brush because I couldn't find a good one. And this one again comes in the pack of 3. With those 2 foundation brushes, you also get a contour brush basically. Highly recommended. I use it for my contour every single day. Next up is your blush brush. Some of you use a pad and stuff like that. I like brush. This was my 7-year-old friend who served me again for 7 years. We were friends. We're still friends. It's just that I don't meet it as often as I used to. This is from PAC Cosmetics. Very budget friendly. This comes in a box of 5 brushes. It will only cost you 3,500 rupees for 5 brushes. The best brush set if you are starting your makeup journey with brush. On that note, I do not use this for my blush anymore. I have replaced this with Smashbox's blush brush. It's freaking amazing. So yeah, this is available off Nykaa. I think you also get this in Sephora. It's available on Amazon, so I think it's available everywhere. This one will cost you, I think, 3,000 rupees or maybe a little more. Not very sure, but totally worthwhile. So this is my regular blush brush. God, that's like such a tongue twister, and I've said it so many times. What goes after blush is your bronzer. I initially would use sponge to blend my bronzer. I kind of liked it, but I think now I have moved on. I leveled up on my makeup game a little bit, so I want it more perfect. My most favorite brush, again, is Charlotte Tilbury's Blush and Bronzer brush, but I really don't understand the concept of how I can use a bronzer that's like almost brown with a blush which is pink. Like, I'm not messy like that. So I keep this exclusively for my bronzer. Highly recommend it. I do not have an alternative. Oh yeah, I do have an alternative for, do I? Oh no guys, I'm sorry, I don't. I kind of do have one which can work for you if you have bought the set of PAC's 5 brushes. You can totally use their contour brush also to use and blend your bronzer. So there you go, in case if you're looking for an alternative. For your highlighter, which goes right after your bronzer, I have experimented quite a bit. I first started with PAC's. This was what I was using almost on a regular basis for a lot of years, and now I have replaced it with Smashbox's highlighter brush. So this is what I currently use. Great. Again, I like how small it is, and so it doesn't take like a huge area on your cheek, because you kind of such a thin line between looking like a clown and like getting your highlighter right. You know what I mean? So this one really does a great job. Another one for your loose powder and for your setting powder, I'll show you what I always use versus what I'm currently using. So this one is again from the pack of 5 PAC Cosmetic brushes. This is meant for you to dust off your loose powder or your setting powder after you're done with your contouring. Absolutely love it. It's the softest brush in the set of 5 with the PAC. However, I have now replaced that with Charlotte Tilbury. Again, man, I mean, it can't get better than this. Please use it and you'll thank me. So that's pretty much my face brushes actually. How many do I have? Let's count quickly. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not bad. All right, guys, moving on to the eye brushes. But before that, real quick, if you like what you see so far, please don't forget to subscribe and show some love. For the eye brushes also, though, I kind of recently experimented more, but let me get you quickly started with the first eye brush care set that I think every makeup beginner should have is again the PAC Cosmetics set of 6 brushes. It again comes around 3,000, so you can have a set of PAC Cosmetics face set and an eye set for within 6,000 to 7,000 rupees. That is such a good deal, guys. Trust me when I say it, because I know how much brushes out there cost, which are like pretty good quality. I did have the set from PAC and I have used that for the last again 7 to 8 years. However, I recently transitioned to Sigma. Still have their brush. I love how this comes in a set of 7 brushes and really suffices for an entire eye makeup. It's a 6800. But you know, it's a good deal because 7 brushes for 6800 from Sigma, which is a good quality. Like you can really give Real Technique and Charlotte Tilbury pretty and Smashbox pretty good competition. So let's start with what you really need on your eye. First thing first is what you need is a fluffy brush on your eye, because that's how we start blending our eye makeup on our crease line. The one that comes with PAC Cosmetics is not really bad. It's pretty fluffy and they give you 2 options for fluffy brushes. Have I missed one though? No, I think that this is the most fluffy brush from PAC Cosmetics. Great. Do I use it currently? No. I moved to Charlotte Tilbury. Now this is, I know I have the PAC, but I feel like Charlotte Tilbury's blending eye makeup brush is again the softest, and I'm loyal to this right now. I'm gonna start putting the brushes that I use on a regular basis like I did for my face, okay? After a blending brush, you kind of need a placement brush, right? That you use to place your product. So this is the option from PAC. They have 2 such brushes that you can really use. You have 3 options actually, depending on how much of the eye you're trying to cover. Great options, again, used it for the longest time, but currently don't use this. Right now, I kind of love how PAC, if you can see, the brushes are so dirty. I like this one because it helps me place it like correctly within the crease line. This is a great option from Sigma, and if you want like a bigger portion to cover, then you have a bigger placement brush like this. By the way, this is the fluffy brush that comes with Sigma if you would want to compare it with the PAC and the Charlotte Tilbury I showed earlier. These are your placement brushes, so currently using Sigma, putting them away. I'm also using this, I don't want to lie, because when I said Charlotte Tilbury's fluffy brush was my favorite, I kind of like the Sigma one too. I don't know, maybe because it's longer and it kind of gives me better stability with my hand. Keeping both aside because I really use both of them. For your angular brush on your eye, I'm again sticking to Sigma for the rest of the brushes actually. Your dome brush, again, this is again from Sigma. The older one that I had was from PAC, so you can compare them both. What's the difference? Sigma is way softer than your PAC and also a lot expensive. So yeah, these 2 brushes, I use them a lot too. I use this, of course, to fill in my eyebrow. With PAC though, this is how it works. I like how they have like the spoolie and to shape it, and then you have your angular brush to fill in your eyebrows. However, with Sigma, it's just that, so I kind of use both from PAC. So this is the only one brush from PAC that I'm still continuing to use. You have your pencil brush for your inner corners, and like if you want to line well, this is again from Sigma. I did also pick up the Charlotte Tilbury's pencil brush. I use them both. These are the brushes that I use on a regular basis for my face and my eyes, you guys. Not bad, right? Totally how many? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the face, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 19 brushes on this face. Oh my God. Also, before we forget, show you how I take care of my brushes, what do I use to wash it with, and stuff like that, right? Okay guys, so for cleaning of your brushes, I do it at least once every 15 days, which is I clean my brushes like twice in a month. You can do it once a month if you're using it only on yourself, but if you're sharing brushes, please do it after every use. The gel that I use for washing my brushes is Real Techniques brush cleansing gel. It's like a shampoo, so basically I put it good enough because I have a lot of brushes to wash, and then just run it down cold water. Kind of use the back of my brush to just froth it a little more. So you want to have just not too much water, because I'll tell you why, very important. You don't really want the entire thing to dip, because this is where the water tends to get in your brushes. So I leave it to a point where, just up to the point where you have the rim of the brush. So I'm going to just insert each of my brush in the gel and let it sit there for a good 10 to, I have more brushes actually, there's a lot of liquid, so why not? I can fit in a few more. Let them sit for good 10 to 15 minutes so that whatever makeup was on there can just go away. And once that's done, I will run it in cold water and sun dry it. So we'll see you guys in about 10 minutes.
10 minutes later.
All right guys, it's been like 10 to 15 minutes. The brushes are sitting there. All I do next is just cold water and gently just wash the gel off. You can really do this for multiple brushes together if you want to save water, but yeah. I always put them moving downwards because I don't want water to seep in. Like, I just don't want to do that because I know there will be gap and then the brushes will be spoiled. So yeah. I'm quickly gonna wash the rest, okay? Usually I put this here in my loo because it has good amount of sunlight, but a better option will be to really leave it completely in the open in the sun. For me, this works out because it's really good amount of sunlight that comes through my door. And the way I do it is like, you know, a little slant so that, again, I don't like to keep my brushes like this to dry because I don't want the water to get in, like I keep saying all the time. That's so important, you guys. Ta-da! It's done. It's that simple, you know. I'm gonna wash the rest of the brushes, but guys, a quick tip. I know I'm talking brushes, but a giveaway tip. I know a lot of you use sponges, and this is so important to cover because I know so many of you don't wash it regularly, but look at this. I used a sponge today morning, and I'm gonna wash it before I use it for my next. This is how you wash a sponge. First thing, put it under cold water and please let it soak in as much water as it can and get as soft as it can. It takes a little time, so please be patient. So you see it gets thicker and softer. That's when it's the easiest to clean. So usually use like an organic soap and not something that's very harsh. I don't have a choice, so I'm really using pears. I can't believe it. So what you do is, you know, take your sponge away and wash the sponge, just rub it against the soap and then gently just see all the makeup just gets away. And you need to do that for a little bit till most of the makeup goes away. Of course, it's not going to turn back to its original color, but this way you know all the germ that was like accumulated while it was sitting there is gone, and because it's going to go right on your face, you guys. So yeah, this is what I do every day. And this is the best way to go about a sponge. And don't forget, you only use damp sponges on your faces. So, but not wet. So once you're done with the sponge, wash off the soap properly and please be sure to squeeze it till the last drop. That's the correct amount of damp. I can't do it too well because of my nails, but I think I still got it. Sponge is ready for another day. But thank you, you guys. That was my quick brush recommendations and brush care and sponge care tutorial. I hope you guys love the information that I try to share with all of you because it does take so much of time and research, and that's when I come to you and I know foolproof this is something working for me. So do use your brushes clean, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and also comment and tell me what more content you would like to see. Thank you so very much, you guys. Have a great day. Bye.